But behind the efforts of Medina Dixon, Old DU dominated the boards and gave Coach Mary Ann Stanley a 70-65 victory over the stunned Lady Bulldogs of Georgia. In 1985, the Lady Monarchs of Old DU were the nation's top team. A year has come and gone, and in this past season has not been as kind to Old DU. Young and inexperienced, the team came up short in its bid to repeat. But if the regular season demonstrated nothing else, Texas was determined to make a run for the title. Coach Jody Conrad guided her thoroughbreds to the front of the class, and more impressively did so without suffering a single loss. A step back most of the season stood the Lady Bulldogs of Georgia. Last year's runner-up to Old DU in the Final Four, but suffered one setback and again was led by senior All-America Teresa Edwards. This past season also witnessed some personal highlights, such as the final campaign of women's basketball's #1 star, the great Cheryl Miller, and the overall excellence each week of another senior, Wanda Ford of Drake. She would lead the nation in scoring and rebounding. The dream for each team that started in November was the same, to reach Lexington, Kentucky, the site of the Final Four in March. But the road is not easy, and though 40 teams were selected to compete in this year's tournament, only 4 found their journey to the Bluegrass Country successful. In the East Regional, held at the Palestra in Philadelphia, Western Kentucky met Rutgers in the finals. Western, who had reached the finals a year ago, desperately wanted to return to their native state triumphant. Led by Lily Mason, Western dominated inside, frustrating Coach Teresa Grintz's hopes and sending All-America Sue Wicks home in frustration. The Mid-East Regional would be played on the campus of the University of Iowa and would present the tournament's most stunning upset. Tennessee met SEC rival Georgia in the semifinal and controlled the boards throughout. Georgia coach Andy Landers watched his dream of a national title go up in smoke as the Lady Vols of Tennessee beat #2 ranked Georgia and earned a trip to Lexington. The Midwest Regional was held in Austin, Texas, where the Lady Longhorns were determined to show why they were the nation's best. All-America point guard Cammie Etheridge dazzled Oklahoma in the semis. But Texas would run into an inspired Ole Miss team led by their fine center, Jennifer Gillum. But even Ole Miss would eventually succumb to their relentless pressure, and the Texas seniors finally realized a 4-year dream, their first trip to the Final Four. Out west, Long Beach would be the site, but USC was easily the team. Coach Linda Sharp's team raced through the regional finals behind guard Cynthia Cooper, sending Louisiana Tech's Leon Barmore home looking for help. 40 teams started, now they're down to 4, and the famed Rupp Arena in Lexington would court the ladies' best. Friday night, Western Kentucky met Texas in Game 1, and Texas fans had some advice that Western ignored. Lily Mason found out right away that this game would be different from last year's regional. Texas pressured her and immediately got her in foul trouble as Jody Conrad had her team primed and running. Texas would get 20 points from senior Fran Harris, but it would be freshman Clarissa Davis who would come off the bench to devastate Western. Davis would score 32 points in 27 minutes, but more importantly, dominate the board, sending Western home in tears and the Lady Longhorns on to the championship. In Game 2, the Lady Vols of Tennessee would meet the USC Women of Troy, and right from the start, Cheryl Miller showed why she's the nation's best. Besides 17 points, Miller added 5 assists, 10 rebounds, and 3 block shots as USC dominated and frustrated the young Lady Vols. 5 of USC's players, including freshman Karen Howell, would hit double figures as USC would easily defeat Tennessee 83-59, sending Linda Sharp to her 3rd championship game in 4 years. And so what began back in November will be decided today on this court by these starting players. The nation's #1 team, the Lady Longhorns of Texas, put their perfect 33-0 record on the line against a team that has won 2 of the last 3 NCAA titles, the USC Women of Troy. 2 teams, 10 players, 1 game, winner take all.
The 1986 Women's NCAA National Championship Game is sponsored by Today Chevrolet, who invite you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86. MasterCard International, master the possibilities. And by Hewlett-Packard, the people who turn your business computing problem into a business computing solution.
Welcome to Rupp Arena, Lexington, Kentucky, for the championship game in women's basketball. The women of Troy, USC, going against the Lady Longhorns of Texas, and you're looking at the premier player in women's basketball, Cheryl Miller. She's carried the banner of the sport for 4 years, a four-time All-American, today in her final appearance, seeking her third NCAA title in 4 years. Her opponents, the Texas Lady Longhorns, the #1 ranked team from the beginning of the season. And Texas trying to become the first NCAA team to go undefeated. They have dreamed of a national title for 3 years. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender, and welcome on this Easter Sunday. Women's basketball has just been growing impressively. And one of the reasons, the lady that's working with me today, who's worked very closely with women's basketball, Mimi Griffin. Mimi was a fine player at the University of Pittsburgh and our expert analyst today. Mimi, I would think that this game today is a dream matchup. What a game to have for women's basketball.
Gary, this game today will showcase the #1 team, Texas, and Cheryl Miller of USC, the #1 player in the nation. Both Texas and USC have similar styles of play. They run a transition offense and a full court pressure defense. We're going to have an exciting game.
Mimi, we hear so much about Cheryl Miller, her offensive ability, but today she has a very difficult defensive assignment.
Coach Linda Sharp of USC told us that Cheryl will be guarding Beverly Williams. This Texas team is so balanced, it's hard to key on one player, but Linda Sharp feels that Beverly is their offensive spark and wants to take her out of the game early.
You know, Texas has had so many good things this year, but they're an inside and outside team. Fran Harris, her outside shooter, and this freshman sensation, Clarissa Davis, inside.
Fran Harris is so good in her perimeter shooting that she has the green light to shoot the ball anywhere on the court. Clarissa Davis is only a freshman, doesn't even start for this team, and yet is their second leading scorer.
I'm looking forward to it. Texas, USC. We'll be back with the introduction of the starting lineups from here in Rupp Arena in just a moment.
Can happen anytime. When you work for Hewlett-Packard, you don't just sell business computing systems, you solve problems. So when you have an idea, you do something about it. You never stop asking, what if?
You know that electronic mail project for the bank? What if we used HP Message?
You know, I love everything about this car.
New Chevy Nova. It's a lot more than you'd expect for the price.
It's a darn good car for the money.
Well, you sold me.
And I really like the way it's built.
Oh, it really moves.
95% of Chevy Nova owners would recommend their new Nova to a friend.
There's so much room. I thought you'd like it. And it doesn't cost much to keep it filled either.
New Nova.
It's a lot more than you'd expect for the price.
Drive today, Chevy. Live today, Chevy.
Nova.
Working hands, helping hands. Hands that got to boogie along. At McDonald's, our hands are busy too.
Busy bacon,
The biscuits for you.
McDonald's buttermilk biscuit sandwiches, sizzling sausage or bacon, a fresh egg, and melted cheese.
They're taking breakfast by the hand all over the land. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Fresh baked biscuits, our way of lending a hand.
For the national title, USC and Texas. The coach of USC is Linda Sharp. In her 9th year, she's won 2 national titles, that in '83 and '84. She played at Fullerton State, and she said that we're not expected to win today, and she feels as an end result, her women of Troy have an added edge. Her opponent for Texas, her counterpart, is Jody Conrad, the National Coach of the Year, the winningest female coach in America. She's had 7 30-win seasons, including this year of 33-0. She grew up in Goldthwaite, Texas, a population of 1,783. And now we're ready for the introduction of our teams. The PA announcer is Jim Engel.
National championship game between the University of Southern California women of Troy and the University of Texas Lady Longhorns. Now let's meet today's starting lineups. At forward for the University of Southern California, a 6-foot sophomore from Santa Barbara, California, number 23, Holly Ford. At forward for the University of Texas, the 6'2 junior from Moscow, Idaho, number 25, Andrea Lloyd. At forward for the University of Southern California, a 6'3 senior from Riverside, California, number 31, Cheryl Miller. At forward for the University of Texas, a 6-foot senior from Dallas, Texas, number 20, Fran Harris. At center for the University of Southern California, a 6'3 freshman from Altadena, California, number 32, Sherry Nelson. At center for the University of Texas, a 5'11 senior from Bay City, Texas, number 15, Annette Smith. At guard for the University of Southern California, a 5'9 senior from Los Angeles, California, number 44, Cynthia Cooper. At guard for the University of Texas, a 5'8 sophomore from Del Valle, Texas, number 10, Beverly Williams. At guard for the University of Southern California, a 5'5 junior from the Bronx, New York, number 21, Rhonda Wyndham. At guard for the University of Texas, a 5'5 senior from Lubbock, Texas, number 33, Cammie Etheridge. In her 9th year from the University of Southern California, the head coach of the Women of Troy, Linda Sharp. In her 10th year with the University of Texas, the head coach of the Lady Longhorns, Jody Conrad.